I don't know how to operate this very good.
I'm glad you're in there.
Thank you.
Yeah. If we could have everybody turn their cameras on, we'd love to see your faces so that we can communicate with you. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat. If you don't know how to use the chat, there is a little button that says reactions, and you can raise your hand. We will answer your questions as you ask them and as we have a little break in the action. So we will make sure to get all those answered. We'll give Hunter plenty of time to talk and tell his story and share what he'd like to share today. And then we'll get to questions after that. So Hunter, welcome. I'm so glad that you're able to come and join us tonight. And thank you everybody else for logging in to the rodeokids.com monthly Zoom. We are doing a monthly Zoom with a professional of some sort within the Western industry on the last Tuesday of every month at 6:30 p.m. So you can mark that on your calendars. We've had some awesome people. We are going to record the Zoom as well. So if you would like to watch it later or share it with people, we'll put it on YouTube, and we will also add it to our rodeokids.com podcast. So we'll have lots of different places that you can listen to it. So welcome, Hunter, and I'm going to let you take it away.
Where do you want me to start?
Let's start with your start at the beginning. How you got involved
in rodeo? So I grew up in Wyoming in a little town called Meeteetse. It's about 30 miles south of Cody, and to shorten it up, probably my folks had some land there, and we had horses, and I grew up riding, but my family doesn't really have a background in rodeo at all until they moved to Wyoming. And I grew up riding and playing sports, and Meeteetse is a really small town. Like I said, there's 300 people in the town. And so I played a lot of basketball and football, and always rode and competed as a little kid. And then I got more into sports like basketball through middle school, and then football in high school was a big deal. And then rodeo, I picked back up kind of the end of middle school, did, through high school. And then when I went to college at Cal Poly, I got back in the rodeo my sophomore year. And that's when I got a lot more serious about my calf roping. And I met Marty and Felicia Miller when I was I believe a sophomore and junior in college. And I actually went and lived with them for a summer in Oklahoma. And it was really, really warm and hot out there and humid, and I'd never been there before. So that was an interesting experience with the weather and everything like that. But I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot about horsemanship and training, and learning how to feel a horse. And they gave me so many tools that I've used now, and I've continued to kind of refine with other people that have helped me as well along the way. So like I said, I finished college, and then when I graduated from college, I had a job offer to go work at a really good job, and I really wanted a rodeo, and the two wouldn't really balance very well to take it seriously. So I turned down my job offer and started figuring out how to try to make ends meet. And I did some insurance adjusting, and I've mowed lawns. I've done kind of a little bit of everything. I've done some modeling and stuff as well, and just kind of whatever it takes. But through all of that, I kept pushing and trying to learn more to rope competitively at a really high level. And it's just a process, so that's been 4 years now since I graduated college. And I've lived with C.R. Bradley. I've stayed at Tyson Durfee's. I've stayed with Trevor Brazil a little bit. I've stayed with Tuff and Roy Cooper. I've tried to surround myself with the best of the best, and just pick up where I can from everybody and make it a part of my blueprint. And so, and then in between, when I had to leave to go work or do something to make money, I'd go do that. And when I got back, I'd get back after with the roping. So that's kind of the short version of it.
Yeah. How did you get hooked up with the places that you've lived, C.R. Bradley and Trevor Brazil? Like, how do you put yourself in that kind of position?
It just takes time. When you live on the road, like my trailer's out here right behind the camera here, and I live in that almost 24/7. And rodeo is a small world, and it's a big family, but you definitely have to be willing to do what it takes, and that you have to be willing to work and earn your spot somewhere. So anywhere I went, it was, we could never afford to pay somebody to really teach me. So it was kind of a trade-off. Like, you can live here and you work and whatever it is, clean stalls, saddle, unsaddle horses, warm horses up, um, whatever the job may be, build fence, and um, it, my dad actually helped me get the connection with C.R. Bradley. And when I was at CR's is when I met Tough and Trevor, and then like Tyson, I reached out to him on Instagram or I think it was Facebook actually, and I just said, "Hey, I'm in Weatherford, Texas. I'd love to meet you," because I knew he lived there. And sure enough, he responded, and I met him that afternoon. I spent a little bit of time with him, and then that's been over the course of like 6 years, and I've just gotten to know him better. And you just try and take advantage of every opportunity you can to build a relationship or get to know somebody.
Yeah. So when you're in that situation, like to set it up, are you going and asking them like, to do that work? Are you approaching them at a rodeo, or obviously Trevor or Tyson you approach through Instagram, but that's going to take some courage. How do you muster up that courage to do that?
I used to ask myself, well, what if I don't? It's kind of a negative question, but like, what's the worst that could happen? Really, they could ignore you, not respond, or they could say no, or they could say, yeah, it'd be great to meet you. So they just have to not be afraid of being turned down. Even if they'd like to have you and they don't have room or something. A lot of guys are pretty straightforward, and whether or not they can accommodate you.
Yeah. Jenny, you guys get nervous when you have to go talk to somebody? Put your hands up if you do. I know sometimes I get nervous. But then you have to do what Hunter said, and just you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? What happens if they say yes? Are you going to get closer to your dream? Yeah. What happens if they say no? You're not any further away from your dream. You're still getting just as close to it. And you've actually taken one step because you've overcome a fear of asking somebody. So then it's going to make it easier to ask the next person, right? Yeah. So just keep asking. Keep asking. So we were talking earlier today, Hunter, and you mentioned that you did not college rodeo or anything through college.
I did college rodeo.
You did college rodeo. Did you play other sports
Yes, ma'am.
too?
I played football my freshman year
Okay. I
at
guess I
college because
misunderstood.
I wanted to take football as far as I could because I knew the timeline on it was shorter than rodeo.
Mhm.
So it was just God's timing that I got back into rodeo when I did and how I did.
Okay. So you played sports all throughout high school?
Yes, yeah, I played basketball up to my junior year, and then I played football all the way through.
Yeah. How'd you balance all of that?
Just be 100% of whatever you're doing at the time. Like fall, I love football. I would say it was probably my number one thing. So I put a lot of time into that, put a lot more training in the weight room. And our high school had a quarterback coach my junior and senior year. So I spent a lot of time with him. But, in the fall, I played football. In the winter, I played basketball. And in the spring, I rodeoed. And, I had to keep my horses in shape throughout all of that. But there wasn't a whole lot of time for anything else besides, excuse me, school, sports, and horses.
Yeah. So you didn't have a lot of that extra drama going on.
Tried not to.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So what are your goals right now? I know you've got some pretty big goals going on, and we'll talk about that and how you're getting there, and then we'll go to your situation at the American and how you handled that.
Yes, yeah. So my two goals are to be the best I can be, and it's vague, but be the best I can be as a roper and as a person. And to grow the sport of rodeo. And that's also kind of a vague, big goal, but you can do that through a lot of ways. I like to help kids, and I want to mentor some people, and some of the partnerships and things like that with companies moving forward now will be good opportunities to grow the sport, and trying to help rodeos get better and bigger if I can at different times, just wherever the opportunity presents itself, or I create it. I just want to really help grow our industry and grow our fan base too.
Yeah. What about your personal goals in the calf roping? You're on a pretty big journey right now.
Yeah, it's every day, just like I said, be the best I can be, which obviously the goal is be top 15 in the world, make the finals, and have a shot at a title. But that'll all take care of itself. If I just put in, when you set goals, you can set a product goal, which is like a world title, but you have to work it back to a process, and you'll end up working it back to what do you do every day to get better. And so you have to take care of yourself, nutritionally and physically be in shape, and work at your craft and roping, or riding horses, or whatever it is you do. And I try and keep it simple. I'm kind of a person that likes to overanalyze things at times, and I try and work it back to what can I do right now that gets me better.
Yeah. Do you guys do that? Think about what you can do right now, today, to get better. I know some of you guys have books that you write stuff down in. That's awesome. Keep that up. Do you have a journal or a log of what you do for practice every day? Or is there a way that you reflect?
I do. I have a journal, but I'm not consistent at it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'll at different times, I'll write down. Maybe it's a certain period in life. I'll take a moment and maybe reflect on where I am or where I want to go, or I've written down notes from practice and like what I'm trying to work on and what I'm going to try to accomplish. But every day I go to, or every time I get to practice, I usually when I'm saddling my horse or when I'm getting warmed up, I ask myself, how am I going to get better today? What am I going to do? And so that's my most consistent way to get focused, is to ask those questions that drive my focus that day. And then I try and narrow it down to, one or two things. Like if it's my horse, if I'm working on my horse, what do I need to do to him today? Like, does he need to be break weight on? Do I need to knot rope? Do I need to log him? Do I need to work on my scoring? Whatever it may be. Or do I need to just go make some runs and try and work on my timing, and whatever it may be? And then, like I said, when I flank and tie, I usually try and focus on the flanking a little bit, and then mostly the groundwork, the stringing and tying.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love all that. Okay, so can you explain, do all of you know what the American is? Does anybody not know what the American rodeo is? All right, so we're all on the same page there. So can you explain from start to finish how, like, from the qualifying to the moment that it all went downhill? Can you share your story?
Right. So the American is a very unique rodeo. It happens once a year. You have to compete at a American qualifier jackpot, and you have to put up money for that spot to go win that spot. You put up your money and you're not guaranteed anything. You actually have to go rope in the jackpot and win your position. Oops, sorry. Go away. There's a dog right here. Sorry, she's moving the camera. So you have to win your position, and like I got my two positions at jackpots, right, calf rope and jackpots, and there's a lot of little formalities with that. But basically, once you get your positions, then when the semifinals starts in Fort Worth, which is the beginning of March, you can get up to two positions. And so like in the calf roping, there was 230 guys that had positions, and everybody gets to rope two head, and the top 24 come back on those two head. and that's at Northside at the Cowtown Coliseum is where they did it this year anyway. And I came back 13th with my position and or with one of mine. I had 2 spots and I missed one. So anyway, I came back 13th. So now they take those 24 and then they do a buyback round, which is another kind of little qualifier within the semifinals. And they took 2 more guys out of that. So we had 26 that moved forward. And then those 26 broke another calf and the top 10 moved forward out of that. And then those you bring your time with you. So like I brought a 9.1 second run with me to that top 10. The top 10 make another run, and those 2 times combined, they take the top 6 to AT&T Stadium. So that's a lot to take in, but basically you're just trying to consistently make good runs. And once those 6 move on, they go to the Cowboys Stadium, and that's where they bring the top 10 in the world in from last year's standings. So now you're back at 16, and then it's like a, basketball tournament. You go from 16 to 8 to 4, and I made it back to the Final Four and was second out. Made a really good run. Actually, made the best run of my life, and God had a bigger plan, and my time was disqualified. My horse spooked, and calf got up and whatnot. But yeah. So after that, then that's kind of obviously what everybody saw, and it was just a moment, when everybody goes through adversity in life. I mean, everybody's gone through a lot of adversity the last year with businesses and COVID and not being able to go to school and not probably being able to go to any rodeos or have a lot of fun really outside of being at home. And I would say that testing period's a lot more difficult than what happened to me. I mean, what happened to me was in an instant, and it was, an option for an opportunity for an extreme high to possibly an extreme low. And I was disappointed for sure, and had the shed my tears that I needed to on Sunday, but we've moved on, and I never lost anything. I never actually won the money, so I didn't lose anything. I still made some money out of the deal, and I've had these kind of opportunities now. So there's a lot of really good things that came from that moment, and a lot of confidence for myself and my roping and my ability, and now, hopefully opportunities to accomplish my goals in a better way than I could have by myself.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know how much, like, he was roping for $1.1 million and had it for an instant, and then it was gone. And he's sharing his story with all of you guys, and he's not feeling sorry for himself. He's not throwing a fit. He might have gone back to the trailer and been disappointed for a while. I mean, obviously it's a disappointment, but he didn't go and cry and blame anybody. He didn't go beat his horse. He didn't, he still gave his horse credit for it was a fluke deal, a bad situation. And he's been a really good sport about it. And he knows that God has a bigger plan. So that's something for you guys to all really learn, that even if you don't win that state title that you've been working for, and he's got a goal to make it to the NFR this year and win that big title. But have you heard him talk about that much? No, he's talking about the process and how he's going to get there. And he knows that as long as he puts in the work, that it'll come when the timing is right, and that God has a plan for him in the arena and out of the arena. So always be working hard towards your goals and putting in that daily effort. And then once it gets to the actual title, just throwing it up and doing your very best that you can do on that day. And that's all you can do. After that, you're rolling the dice and praying that it works out one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love all of that. So I know a lot of these kids, they're practicing hard, and then they're going for long weekends, and they've got multiple rodeos, and clearly just through the American, let alone everything else that you're doing, it takes a lot of endurance, and it's a lot of averages and staying focused and handling all the nerves. Like, how do you keep your mind mentally focused run after run after run?
I think everybody does that in a different way. It's something that has taken a long time for me to figure out. But But that's what's really cool that happened at the American is I grew a lot in that week because it was a week-long process. It might have even been 10 days or so. But like when I'm on the road, I like to listen to audiobooks. So I've listened to a lot of mental game books, and like right now I have some that are more just stories. Like Wild at Heart, it's a really good Christian book, and I listen to that, or like I'll listen to music, and or I talk on the phone a lot with friends and family and people, and everybody has their different ways though. Some guys like to go golf, and there's other things, but I usually either when I'm traveling, like that's what I do in the truck. And then when I have time, I like to work out, rep the dummy, and right now things have changed quite a bit. I'm pretty busy with quite a few different things, but a normal summer, like when I'm on the road in the summertime, you go to the rodeos and you kind of go back to where you're staying and either practice or work or do whatever it is you have to do to get ready, but just pick and choose your times for things. So, when it's time to get serious and get locked in and you're, get a rope or compete in 10, 20, 30 minutes, however long you need, get locked in and focus on doing your job and then, go have fun. So I remember like when I went to junior rodeos back when I was, in elementary, junior high, high school, it was always fun to go see all my friends and stuff because I had a lot of really good friends that I never got to see outside of rodeo. And so that was kind of the thing is like my folks would tell me like, if I was up the next morning, like I could go have fun that night when we got there, but then I had to be, in bed at a certain time and give myself the opportunity to be ready for the next day. And then, it was time to be serious, do that. And then when I was done, go have fun and do whatever it is you wanted to do. So just stay balanced.
I like that. It's got to be fun. Yes, you have to be focused, but you can't take it so serious either. It's got to be enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, Sharon has a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Can you unmute yourself? She's also my mom.
I wanted to ask.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. If you get nervous when you compete, and if you do, how do you settle yourself down?
Yeah, not anymore. Like I can remember back when I used to, though, you get the adrenaline going, your heart gets pumping, and like it's a short round at a jackpot or something, and they got the music playing and they're trying to get you amped up, and they start talking about how much money it's going to pay out. And I would say yes, I used to, but now I know there's a lot of different things I do now to put myself where I need to be to compete. But those moments, and even like that run at the American, that was a really cool moment. And I wasn't nervous at all for that run. And it was because I was locked in mentally. And there's a lot I could talk about with how I get there, but everybody has their different way. And it's about learning the tools that you need to use, whether it's, affirmations and statements. There's breathing techniques you can use that actually lower your heart rate. And then like, that's what we work for. Like you got to think about when you wake up and you go to practice, or it's late at night and you go to practice, or you drive 15 hours and you go to a rodeo and whatnot, you got to think about a little bit of all those times and all that energy and effort you put in. And then you're at that moment that you worked so hard for, like, you got to tell yourself I'm supposed to be here. Like, this is my time, go enjoy it, and then XYZ, do your job kind of thing. Like I have certain things that I tell myself.
Mm-hmm. I like that. There was a friend of mine, we had a conversation at one point in time, and it was talking about deserving to win and to go to the places. And when you guys have put in the work, and like Hunter said, when you're driving to the rodeo, taking that time to reflect on all the practice that you've put in the last week or however long, or your lifetime, and the clinics that you've gone to, and even taking the time to listen to these Zooms and the podcast and everything, like that's all part of becoming a champion. And once you've done those things, you can trust yourself because you've put in the work and you deserve to be there. When you don't, when you know that you haven't, then you're going to have those doubts, and that's when you're going to get more nervous. So make sure that you are doing what it takes on your end and putting in the time. And you don't have to, you still got to do your schoolwork, but like he said before, even knowing what you need to get done and knowing what your time is allotted to do that, and then trusting yourself when you get to the rodeo.
Absolutely. And figure out how to do it in your own way. If you show up and you kind of are like me, I'm a very observant person. So I notice how other people do things. If you're not sure what to do, watch the guys that are really good and maybe copy them. But you'll ultimately find what in your gut feels right, and trust your gut. It's your gut is, in my opinion, it's the Holy Spirit in you. That deep down feeling that you have, and trust that, because it never really tries to lead you astray. It's usually a pretty honest navigator.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, don't we, Mom? Trust your gut.
We do. Trust your gut. Just make your run. Make that same run you've been winning on before. Make that same run.
Yeah. And with that, trust the things that aren't working for you. Even if somebody told you to do it, somebody that you trust or you believe, but you can say like, hey, this just isn't working for me. It's okay for you to do something different. Just because everybody else does it and it works for them, it doesn't mean that it works for you. And that's all right if there's something that works better for you. So, Hunter, can you share with us one of something that you use for words of affirmation?
Sorry, am I still there?
Yep, you're back. Oh, now you're gone. Now you're back.
Sorry, I had a call coming in.
Oh.
Well, like, I said it on the interview at the American, like, see the start, rope the neck, flank and tie. That would be a performance statement. And I actually took that from my buddy Dane Kissick. Remember, he and I talked a lot. He and I got to travel, and we talked a lot about mentality and mindset. And when he told me that, it was perfect. Like, it's how a performance statement is supposed to be. It's very succinct, very direct, and it tells my brain what to do. So like, I don't really say it too early, but like I might say it right kind of, a few times. And then before I ride in the box, like I tell myself, see the start. And I usually will say, what the start is. But it just makes those little triggers, like go do this. And it can help, in the moment, like maybe a random noise happens, or like there's something happens in the stands or something that could be distracting. And then you got to come right back in and lock in, and you'd say, boom, 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 do this. So that's one of my things.
Yeah. One of mine is just the word now. And to me, the word now means being focused on what I'm doing right now, whether I'm backing in the box or I'm entering the arena for a barrel run. Now means 100% tunnel focused on this event right now in this moment. And that just, like he said, shuts down everything that's around me. And I'm, bam, right there in that moment. So
that's funny you say that. That's Tyson Durfee's thing. He calls that like his lock-in word.
Oh, really?
And you gotta have that one word. And so for you, it's now. For him, it's world champion. So that's interesting you said that, because that's another thing. And there's all kinds of little tools, to the mindset.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, Charlotte Kovar, you have a question. Or a couple of them.
What's your fastest time?
Well, it would have been 7.26 seconds, but since it wasn't official, my fastest after that was 7.9.
Nice. Let's get it. All right. Another question that we have is, do you play any music to get pumped up before you make a run?
I used to, but I've actually read that book that I read a lot, Relentless, that guy Tim Grover. I remember I saw a post, and my memory is kind of weird. Like I'll remember random things that I glance and see for a second. And I remember seeing a post that talked about if you have to use music to get pumped up, you're not really ready to compete. But I think it has its place. So like I have a playlist that I use when I work out. And when I'm starting my warm up, if the energy just doesn't feel right, I'll put these little earbuds in and I have that playlist and I'll start playing it. And I don't try and get too amped, but I try to help it use me to kind of block everything out and get in the zone. But I try not to get too hyped up because it's not maintainable. We want to really try and bring yourself to that point of being ready to compete, but not so much that it's like this fake energy that can make you go that can make you it could cause more mistakes. Actually, there's like a triangle or a pyramid of here's your optimal point, and if you go just past it, you actually are worse off than if you just remain calm. So sorry, that's a long answer, but I use it a little bit.
Consistent and focused. Yes. Okay, Jace. Jace,
Absolutely.
Question.
They call it
Okay.
There. Sorry.
How many A horses do you have?
Hey, buddy.
How many horses does he have? Is that what you
How
asked,
many
Jace?
horses do I have?
He wants to know how many ace
Yeah.
horses he has.
How many?
Eight horses do you have?
Like your number one horses.
Oh, one. I only have one.
How many
I have
horses
one
you
on
have?
the I have one horse on the road with me, and I have one at home that's rehabbing from an injury.
How many horses
has
do you
two.
have?
He has two, one on the road and one at home.
Yeah.
How many horses do you have now?
He just said baby. Sorry.
Okay. So you only have one horse that's with you. So how do you practice a lot? Or do you just practice on one horse, or do you get to borrow horses, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime I get a chance to ride something else, I try to for sure. That's, dependent on people's generosity and ability to do that. But, make it count. So like when I'm tuning on Gypsy, because he's kind of at that point of keeping him tuned for what I need him to do. And then obviously, like you said, I need to get my practice too. So like going back to my goals when I go to practice today, like is today a day I wrote for me or do I wrote for Gypsy? And a lot of times I might do both in a day. Maybe maybe I'll go out and I'll make the first 2 runs for me, and I'll just go make runs like I'm at a rodeo. Okay, I'm cinched up, riding the box, go make a kind of run I would at a rodeo, and then I'll come back and maybe I'll break away a couple or do whatever I need to do for Gypsy after that. So just depends on the day, but I dang sure don't get as much practice as I'd like to.
Yeah, but quality over quantity. Yeah. Okay.
And that's your only option. That's what you do.
Yes. Riley and Peyton Smith have a question for you. Gotta love this unmute stuff.
What? Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
I do. And you know what? I'm going to have to look at it real quick because I'm not very good at memorizing, but it's actually my cover photo on Facebook. So let me go tell you what it is real quick. Hopefully it pulls up. So can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Do nothing out of rivalry or conceit, but in humility consider others as more important than yourself.
What does that mean to
That
you?
is my favorite Bible verse.
Yeah. What's that mean
To
to
me?
you, Hunter? Yeah.
Oh, live the golden rule, really. I mean, it says to treat others as more important than yourself, but the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I just try and, like I said, I'm observant, aware kind of person. So I just try and always take other people's perspective into account before my own.
Awesome. Okay, Charlotte. You got your hand up at least.
What's your question, Maverick?
Stetson's having a
I didn't
fit.
hear what she said.
What's your question, Maverick?
How do you like calm down and then you? How do you train a horse and it doesn't listen to you?
How do you train a horse when it doesn't listen to you?
Be patient.
Did you hear that, Maverick? He
Be
said
really patient.
and listen to Cammie when she's helping you, right?
Or come back the next day and try again.
Maverick and Charlotte are some of my lesson kids. So Maverick is learning how to ride right now.
Awesome.
Yes, yes. And
Very
he's
cool.
quite a cowboy. So, yeah. Okay, Sharon, you've got another question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have traveling buddies now and who they are and why did you choose them or did they choose you?
Yeah, so I predominantly traveled by myself, but I traveled with Dane Kissick. I guess it would have been 2 years ago now. And Dane finished top 30 in the world his last year, and then he retired. But I went with Dane because I knew he was a faith-based guy. He roped at a high level. He had consistently been in the top 30 or 40 for several years. And, you know, we talked on the phone a few different times and we got along. And so went with him, and it was also somebody I could learn from. So a lot of that is kind of, can you add value to them and can they add value to you? And that was a good match. Traveled with a kid named Tyler Boxleitner. He's younger than me, but he lives in Loveland, Colorado, and he's become a really good friend. And so we've gone together to rodeos too, and it's kind of the same thing. We just get along. It's a big part of it when you're on the road is being around people's personalities that match yours. And you know, if otherwise, like I said, I tend to go by myself just because I'm kind of weird and I have my own way of doing things. So
Yeah. So you've talked about faith quite a bit, and obviously that's played a big part in your life. Can you share more about where faith comes into play and how it impacts your roping and life in general?
Mhm. Yeah, so I always was curious about Christianity and faith, and I would say I got more into it in college. I had one of my roommates was a really good, really strong faith-based guy. His name's Sammer, and he and I had some conversations that got me more curious, and so we started going to church a little bit more in college. And then when I graduated from college, I actually went and lived with the pastor, Randy Bird. And that would be when things really changed a lot for me. And I had talked to Randy a lot through college. He and I'd have phone calls every now and then, and he always just had a lot of scripture and a lot of things to share with me that made me more curious. And then when I got to live with him, it was like I could ask him questions all the time. And that's, you know, why I ended up being saved was the fall of 2017. And just faith's always been a big part of my life. I wouldn't say I was always perfect in it by any means, but it's just amazing what it feels like, you know, when God's really active in your life and when you're, you know, living in his will and doing things like he wants you to. He can do some amazing things, and he can also allow you know, like what happened at the American. Actually, a lot of people referenced the book of Job about that and told me it in messages. And so I went and read the book of Job a little bit, and it was interesting in that basically in that story, you know, God allowed Satan into Job's life for no particular reason other than to test him. It wasn't that Job had made a mistake or done anything wrong, but he allowed him to be tested, and God does that to keep us close to him, to test our faith. And that's usually when we grow the most, is when we're, put up against something difficult. So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Nida, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize. You have your hand up. There you are.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
You didn't mean to have your hand up? You don't have a question? Okay. Does anybody else have a question?
I have a question. Are you sponsored?
I sponsored. I have a few people that help out, but like Equerries has helped me kind of from the get-go. My parents, mom, dad. No, they're the biggest supporters. And Iconoclast, Ward Hyde has helped me out kind of from the get-go. And I feel really bad if I don't say somebody's name. I'm blanking right now, but there's a few that help. And then right now I'm in some conversations with folks to move that are going to be some pretty cool opportunities. So
Yeah. Charlotte, you have another question?
never really had sponsors.
Yeah.
Mark, what's your question? How did you learn to rope?
How did you learn to rope? Oh, you're frozen. There you go.
I had a rope in my hand when I was, how old's Maverick?
Maverick, how old are you? 3? 3? 3 or 4?
3. Yeah. So I probably picked up a rope when I was like 6 or 7, maybe at first, maybe 8. I'm not sure. But at a young age. And I had one of those little play ropes, or I had like an old team rope, and I just carried around, and I'd rope the dummy. I actually roped like a head and dummy that's stuck in a bale of hay, and I would stand in front of it because I was too short to throw it over the bale of hay. So I'd go stand in front of it and rope the head that way. And just always kind of had a rope in my hand. And then I learned probably from watching other people, and like, my parents would show me, my dad would show me some stuff from what they were learning in team roping. And like when we go to we used to have a roping club in Matitsi, and a lot of folks were there, and just probably picked up things here and there from people. And then as I got older, obviously I got more serious about it, and had, went to like little clinics or different opportunities with people to learn.
Yeah. Spent the time. He put the time in.
Mhm.
That's what you guys are doing too. You're putting the time in right now. And I see a lot of your videos and all the practice drills that you're doing. And as long as you keep doing that and keep your faith and keep moving forward, then you'll have a chance to get to that same level. Yeah. Hunter, can you talk a little bit more? We talked a little bit about fitness and nutrition earlier today, and I'd like you just to share how important you think that is with this, especially with the younger kids as they're growing up and they're getting older and wanting to get to the next level, how that plays a part.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, trying to eat as healthy as you can, good quality bread and fruit, and, peanut butter and jelly is kind of my go-to. It's quick and easy, and you get some good nutrition out of it. And then as far as working out, I would say, like, with roping and riding and horses, is balance. So like if you're learning to rope, and this is something Tyson's pretty big on too, is those Bosu balls. They're like a half ball that you can flip upside down and they rock. Roping a dummy on a Bosu ball is really good, or even just getting on it and standing on it, maybe trying to stand with one leg in the center. But balance is really, really important because it teaches a lot of different things to your body, like neurologically, as well as, musculature. And like myself right now, I've done everything from heavy lifting and a lot of weights to yoga to, everything in between. And now what I'm going to incorporate more is is kind of a specified rehab program that helps with more of the balance and like basically keeping your spine healthy. I would say the number one thing is learn how to keep your back and body healthy. Whether it's like postural therapy or things like that, but just nothing crazy. You know, TRX, like a TRX band is really, really good because you can do body weight stuff at different angles. So
Is everybody sitting up
keeping
straight
your
right
core
now?
strong, and
Working on your posture?
I'm not.
So Riley and Peyton, Riley especially, he showed a video the other day. I don't know if I forwarded it to you or not, when he was on like a yoga ball. I think that Riley, you should maybe challenge Hunter to do your drill. Think that'd be fun? Can you explain to him what you do, Riley?
So for one of my practice drills, I kneel on a yoga ball, and which I use to help with my balance for bull riding. And then I also will have a rope, and I'll rope a calf dummy while I'm on it to help with my balance.
Yeah. So I'll share the video.
That's
and
awesome,
we'll
dude.
see
You
how
should.
handy you are.
I'll probably fall off of it. I've tried to balance on a yoga ball before. It's not very easy.
Yeah, he can like go in a full circle with his knees on top of his ball. It's amazing. Okay, Adrian,
Wow.
you have a couple
Yeah,
of questions. Not sure where you're at. Adrian Williamson. Okay, we'll come back to you. Kenley.
Oh, I can hear it
there
now.
you
What a usual practice prepared for rodeos? What does that usually consist of?
When I practice to get ready for rodeos, is that what you said?
Yes.
So foundation and fundamental type stuff. When I'm like really trying to, like when I was getting ready for the American, I was making sure my horse was tuned in the way I wanted him to be. So that's, like I said, it's a mixture of breakaway roping and like riding to get the cross and get on the left hip and get him straight and getting him to break like I want to, especially like a rodeo like Fort Worth. The box is super small. So I actually set up my box like the one at Cowtown because it's so unique. It's 13.8 by 8'3", so it's really, really small and tight. And I did that to kind of get a feel for the start and how that was gonna, look and feel. And it's a little different because you can't mimic everything, but I'll tune my horse. Like I said, if it's a really unique setup, I'll try and mimic the setup. And then I just try and work on my fundamentals. So flanking really correct, stringing, tying, breathing, all that kind of stuff is what I focus on. I don't really focus, on like going super fast or any of that, because when your foundation's correct, the speed will come.
Such an important thing to remember. Okay, Lillian.
I was wondering if you have ever done like T-roping or anything else, and if so, what really drew you to calf roping to go professionally there?
Love it. Awesome question. So I team roped like, middle school. I did ribbon roping, calf roping, team roping. And for a little while I did, the junior bull riding or whatever version of that was at that point. But predominantly I roped calves and team roped, and I heeled mostly. And I got more into calf roping because of the athleticism of it. And it's just you and your horse. So anything goes wrong, it's pretty much your fault. Even if your horse doesn't feel right, a lot of times that's because of you. So that's why I like calf roping. Plus, like I said, it's athletic, it's intense, and playing a lot of sports, I always liked something where I had the opportunity to be athletic.
Good answer. Okay, Charlotte, you have another question.
What's your favorite practice drill?
Good question.
My favorite practice drill. Okay. Tough Cooper has an amazing drill that he'll do, and it has to do with, probably can't give it away because it's kind of a secret, but it has to do with super high intensity because that's how Tough practices, and it has to do with flanking and tying and getting low and learning how to dig. So like when, like when a calf falls on their side and maybe they don't want to get up and you have to pick them up and get them back on their feet and then flank them again. There's a drill that we have that we do to work on that. And it's usually like 2 or 3 guys and you just go continuous. So it's really high intensity. You get tired, and then when you get tired, you have to learn how to breathe and control yourself and still do things correct. But that's my favorite drill.
Good. Jeb? There you go.
When you team roped, were you good at it?
Not as good as I am at calf roping. Did all right. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't very consistent on the healing side. I could catch really, when I caught it was pretty, but then I'd miss.
We lost your video. Oh, there you go. Okay. Riley and Peyton have another question.
We live in California. Did you like living in California in college?
Yes, I loved it. Where do you guys live?
Placerville.
I have a friend that was from Placerville. That's up north, right? Yep. I had a really good friend from up there. I'm pretty sure gosh, what was her last name? Then she's married now, but her name was Maddie Cilio, I think. She was from Placerville, I think, or up there in that area. So yes, I love California. I went to school in San Luis Obispo and it was amazing.
Yeah. We have the Clark family, aka Ashley Howard. They have a question.
Okay. I didn't hear him.
How much do you practice every day? Is there a certain time frame that you shoot for, or?
That depends if I can. Yeah, it kind of depends. If I'm at home, and I have my own calves and my own setup and stuff, like I'll usually go down and flank and tie every day. When I only have one horse like that, I can only do so much on him. So I exercise him every day, but I might rope on him 2 times a week or 3 times a week. Just kind of depends what he needs, but I really don't try to overdo it on him. And then like when I'm on the road like this and I have to go to people's places to practice, then I take advantage up to Bobby Lewis's place in Oklahoma. And he had like 8 head of really fresh calves that had never been tied. And I probably tied for 2.5 hours by myself. I had a little bit of help, but I just tied for 2.5 hours, just had a lot of energy and went at it.
That's awesome. Gotta take advantage of what you can.
Yeah, exactly. I would say though, if you have the ability to practice consistently, do, a consistent amount every day.
Yes.
That's a lot better approach.
Okay, we are winding down our time with Hunter. So let's see what he has for advice for each of you to go forward from this point. What's your number one advice for these kids and adults?
I think, do we have those 2 questions though that you messaged me about before?
One of them you already answered.
Okay.
The other one was, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite prayer you say before you rope?
You guys come sit at the table.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's awesome. What was that?
I think that was, I muted somebody. You're good. So it's just
Gotcha.
your favorite prayer
Yeah.
before you rope.
So we used to say it before every football game too, and that's what I thought of was the Lord's Prayer. You know, does everybody know the Lord's Prayer?
Go ahead and say it.
Yes. You want me to say it?
Yeah. Did I put you on the spot?
I said it earlier to myself and I just blanked.
You say it, Cam. Say it
Oh
with her.
man, that's bad. It's our Father who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy
hallowed be thy
name.
name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be
Thy-
done
Thy will be done
on earth as
on
it
earth
is
as
in
it is in
heaven.
heaven.
Yep.
Give us this day our daily bread.
And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Give us this day yep.
Yeah, that one is
And
probably
lead us not
hard.
into temptation, but deliver us from
I'll
evil.
let you listen.
For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
That's the one. Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
I guess Jace does have one more question and then we'll go on to our closing.
How many ones you made?
No, you said, do you ride your saddle horn across the line?
And how many ones you made?
Yes, I use my saddle horn most of the time. I don't really get as many swings off as most guys, so I use the horn to get across the line, and most of the time I take 2 swings. Sometimes I'll take 1.
Yes, awesome. All right, what other advice do you have for everyone as we finish her up?
Yeah, just I would say number one thing is, like you said, have fun. I mean, the reason we do all this is because we enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it at the end of the day, I mean, some days are worse than others, but I love what I'm doing. I love where I am. I just showed up to some friend's house and they have a stall for me. It's beautiful here in Texas. And so I would say if you're not enjoying it, then maybe look into doing something else. But the things that you can learn are amazing. So just enjoy every step of it, whether it's, good or difficult, high or low, and learn every day from anybody and everybody that you can. I mean, some people you don't listen to as much, but you learn not to listen sometimes too. So just be a sponge and soak it all up.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Great message. And I'm just thankful that you were able to come and really appreciate it. So thank you for that. And we will post this Zoom on YouTube tomorrow, and we'll also do the podcast. So if you guys know somebody who could benefit from everything that we learned about tonight, please share it with them and let Hunter tell Hunter thank you. And yeah. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much.
Yes. Good luck. And we hope to see you at the NFR this year.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And Jay said that he has a stall for you in Oklahoma if you need one.
We have one in
Awesome.
Iowa.
Yes. We also have one in Iowa.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Jace.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
And how you face your fears?
No, he's already said that. Sorry.
What do you
Jeez. He said, how do you face your fears? But
head on? Grab the bull by the horn.
head on. Thank you.